In this series of videos I shall be looking at the tramways of Great Yarmouth. We have already looked at the Galston lines in part 1. Now let's look at some of the other lines. In 1902 Yarmouth Borough Council opened its own 3-foot-6 gauge system, the main depot being at Newtown. Two basic services were provided, both terminating at Wellington Pier. One from Newtown via Northgate Street, Church Plain, Market Place, Theatre Plain where that tangle of lines is, or via King Street, and via Regent Road or St Peter's Road onto Marine Parade and finally Wellington Pier. The other service ran from Vauxhall Station across the River Yare, the line shown in blue here, and then down after crossing the river onto Hall Quay and down Regent Street and then joining up either King Street or Church Plain, St Peter's Road or Regent Road, and then finishing again via Marine Parade and Wellington Pier. Now, as with the Galston lines, let's go out and see where these tramways actually ran. So we start our journey at Newtown and the site of the tram depot, which is now a bus station, and that's looking down Caister Road, which is where we should be going. That building was built on the site of the old tram depot. And now we look down Caister Road towards Great Yarmouth, and that's the way the trams used to go. This is approaching the junction with Beaconsfield Road, and right ahead at the junction the railway line crossed over Caister Road via a bridge. And after Beaconsfield Road it then becomes Northgate Street, and this is looking back towards the depot outside the old Lord Roberts pub, and there's a picture of an old tram exactly the same position. The picture of the old tram was taken around about 1905. So we'll continue down Northgate Street towards Great Yarmouth. The line was double track here all the way from the Newtown depot right into Market Place and Regent Road. And here in this shot we're looking back towards the depot, and there's an old picture of the lines. The reference point there is that gable end of the house on the right hand side. You can see it in the old picture. This is the end of Northgate Street, which is on the right hand side. That's looking towards Fuller's Hill. There were some tram tracks round from Fuller's Hill, and our tram tracks went across at an angle through Cross Church Plain here and into Market Place, which is where we should be going now. So now we've come through Church Plain, and the trams would now be entering the marketplace area, which has been undergoing some controversial changes lately. It was a huge bustling outdoor market, but now it's a large paved area, and that building on the right, nicknamed the Cattle Shed, is basically just a load of indoor food outlets. There is not anywhere like the old outdoor market as it used to be. So now we're approaching where the tram tracks divided, straight on down King Street on the right there, and then over to the left and down Theatre Plain. We'll go on to King Street, and we'll look back from King Street back to the marketplace area. And if I freeze the picture there, here's a picture taken from roughly the same position looking at the very bustling outdoor market and a tram just coming down from Church Plain and turning round towards Theatre Plain. So we'll go down King Street first, and there's a road coming in from the right hand side in a minute. This is Regent Street, which comes round from Hall Quay, and the trams used to come round that way from Vauxhall Station. The buses will soon come round that way as they're going to alter the direction of traffic. And this is looking again further on down King Street, but if I swing the camera round in a second, we will be looking towards Regent Road, and just past the Carp store on the left is where Theatre Plain joins, and this is the other end of Theatre Plain, Marketplace end of Theatre Plain, looking down to the junction with Regent Road. And here we are again at that junction and looking towards a continuation of Regent Road. And if I just backtrack before we carry on down Regent Road, just backtrack to the corner where Theatre Plain joins in, here's an old picture taken virtually from that spot, and the tram tracks curving round from the left coming in from Theatre Plain, and the other tracks disappearing to the right come round from King Street and Regent Street where we've just been. And we'll continue now onto Regent Road. Before we go on down Regent Road, here's another old postcard of the junction with Theatre Plain, the lines coming round from the left. After this junction, not far after, the double tracks became a single track with the odd passing loop down Regent Road towards Marine Parade, and that's where we're going now. So now we're entering Regent Road, the area where the lots of little independent shops are. This is absolutely heaving with people in the summer. A very, very popular road. Lots of restaurants and gift shops, etc., as you would expect to find at a seaside resort. And right in front now is Britannia Pier, which is undergoing some renovation. And there's an old picture of a tram coming round from Marine Parade into Regent Road, virtually where we are now. And here's a picture of a tram at the bottom of Regent Road about to go round into Marine Parade in front of Britannia Pier. I think the tram's days were numbered now because there's an old diesel bus in the background which would have replaced the trams. And here we are looking, Regent Road comes in from the left there. We're in Marine Parade now, looking towards the Arc Theatre or cinema, and there's a picture of a tram coming round from Regent Road into Marine Parade, or going the other way, I'm not sure which. And here's a shot looking down from the end of Regent Road towards Wellington Pier down Marine Parade, where we should be going next. So we'll continue along Marine Parade. Very, very popular place in the summer, obviously. There's the big wheel. Again, another very popular attraction in the summer. Well worth a visit. And we're getting now, that's looking back towards Regent Road. There's a picture of a tram coming from that direction, another one, and the horse and buggy or whatever in the carriage road. There's the carriage road nearest to us, again looking towards Wellington Pier. So finally we reached the terminus at Wellington Pier. This was opened in 1853 It was originally a 210 metre wooden structure that was strengthened by steelwork in the 1970s. Jim Davidson actually invested £750,000 of his own money. The front has been redeveloped as an amusement arcade. The end of the pier now a bowling alley and bars, and this is the beach part of the pier. The part we saw previously was the road side of it, the Marine Parade end. And this structure is the Winter Gardens. This is an iron and glass structure which started its life in Torquay in 1878 and moved to Yarmouth in 1904. It is a Grade 2 listed building and is due for renovation. So that's the terminus at Wellington Pier, the terminus from for the trams from Newtown, and as we shall see in a minute, also from Vauxhall. So now we're back at Yarmouth Vauxhall Station. This was the terminus of the standard gauge line from Norwich. This was constructed in 1845 by the engineers George and Robert Stevenson. We are actually standing on the site of the old 3'6" gauge tram tracks that departed from Vauxhall. Unfortunately now the station is a shadow of its former self. Running parallel with the tram line was the standard gauge line from Vauxhall, and there it is sort of marked out with paving and forming a footpath. And that line and the tram line crossed the river via the span or two spans of this bridge. This is the tram line span, which unfortunately now is closed. And there are the two spans of this bridge, the tram line to the right, and we are now going to cross the accessible span, which used to carry the old standard gauge railway line over the river onto the quayside. And when we get to the other side, after I've walked across, this is the other end of the tram section of the bridge, completely covered over now by this used car compound. The lines would have curved round to the right there, following the line of that footpath. And this is the other span of the bridge, same side, and you can see the standard gauge lines there, also curving round to the right underneath that car compound, round onto the quayside, where we shall go to next. On the other side of the bridge, on North Quay, there are a multitude of tracks, both standard gauge and the 3'6" gauge tram tracks. Now if we look at this old map here, you can see shown by the red arrow the lines coming round from Vauxhall, both tram and standard gauge. And they curve round and join up with the lines that go down to Haven Bridge, where we should be going. Now the other lines went in the other direction, shown by that green arrow. The tram lines went round to Fuller's Hill and Church Plain, and the standard gauge went up to the White Swan. So this is on the other side of the bridge on North Quay. You can just see the tops of those two spans, other side of those cars, and there's a picture of a train of a standard gauge coming off the lines from Vauxhall round onto North Quay, and in that direction is the White Swan and Fuller's Hill. And this is the White Swan. There's a picture of the line in the old days when the standard gauge line, which actually came round from Yarmouth Beach Station and then onto North Quay, where we should be going now. And this is along North Quay. There were two tracks along here, obviously. One was the tram line and one was the standard gauge, which went along here, feeding the wharfs and eventually down to Fish Wharf. Now this is a picture of our next location, which is the area at the Haven Bridge, Hall Quay and around the Town Hall. You can see in the middle there the tram lines, which are now double, and to the right of them is the standard gauge railway with some old trucks, which goes off in the distance towards Fish Quay. And this is the area now, somewhat changed. Haven Bridge is to the right there. The Town Hall is right centre with the tower on top, which can be used as a reference point in later pictures. And here's a picture, very similar position, with a tram in the middle and some railway trucks to the right, and obviously the Town Hall there, quite prominent. Everything now has been cleared away for roads. No railway, no trams. Here's another shot of the Town Hall area with a tram right in front of us. And here we now turn the tram lines turn round into Regent Street. That building on the right there is the Town Hall. And here's a shot a little bit closer into Regent Street and a picture of a tram in virtually the same position. So now we are in King Street. The Regent Street, which we've just looked at, comes in from the right hand side there, and King Street, where we should be going, carries straight on. Now we are in the next part of King Street. That bus has just come round from Regent Road, and we'll just continue down King Street. This is near St George's Theatre, and here we go on a little bit further, quite a narrow street, just a single line of tram tracks down here, and here we're getting near now the junction with St Peter's Road. Now there's St Peter's Road right in front of us on the left, and we're now looking down St Peter's Road. This is the junction with Blackfriars Road. That is Blackfriars Road, and we'll be coming back to that shortly. St Peter's Road route was never profitable. Then there was a lot of congestion down to Marine Parade because of the fact that Regent Road was just a single track. And here we are looking down Marine Parade at the bottom of St Peter's Road towards Wellington Pier, and this is from Marine Parade looking up St Peter's Road right in front of us. And here's an old picture of the tram tracks at that junction. Marine Parade left to right and St Peter's Road up to the top. So now back to St Peter's Road and the junction with Blackfriars Road that is in front of us. And the tram tracks ran down here adjacent to the walls, which ran for about a mile from somewhere near Vauxhall Station southwards. That tower is Blackfriars Tower. There were 15 towers, 11 of which still survive. And there were also 10 gates. The walls were started around 1260. And now we go further along to the end of Blackfriars Road and into Camden Road, just for a short length. We head towards the junction with Admiralty Road. So now we're in Admiralty Road. Along here was the Royal Naval Hospital on the behind this wall. It was built in 1811. It's Grade 2 listed. It closed as a hospital in 1993 and is now a private residential property. And now we're just about to turn right into Barrack Road. There's an interesting Banksy work of art on that wall above the bus shelter. And also of interest is the gasometer, a Grade 2 listed building, of which there are many in Great Yarmouth. This was built in 1886 and is due for renovation. And as we now go down Barrack Road, we will be shortly approaching the Fish Wharf. There were a large barracks around this area, hence the name of this street. As I've mentioned before, there was at one time a huge herring fishing industry in Great Yarmouth, and this required a large fish wharf, which covered quite a big area, as you can see from this old map. Our tram line, shown in orange, comes in at the top of the frame along Admiralty Road, turns into Barrack Road, and then turns left down onto South Deans and goes along side of the Fish Wharf. The standard gauge railway is on the other side of the Fish Wharf, near the river. That railway is the line that came from Vauxhall and also from the White Swan area and ultimately from the beach station. You can also see the old barracks on this old map. Now let's go and see what we can find that's left. So at the end of Barrack Road now, we're looking up South Deans towards the town and Vauxhall station. The standard gauge would have come down that road and it would have turned down there into the Fish Wharf. There's some evidence that it was actually the Fish Wharf, and our tram line would have gone straight down in that direction, and the Fish Wharf would have been sort of in between the river and railway and our tram line, and that's all that's left. Let's just go over and see what we can find. And this is all that's left. This was formerly the Fish Wharf Refreshment Rooms, later to become the Dolphin Public House. And this is all that's left of the Fish Wharf. Basically nothing. All gone, as is the fishing industry. And that concludes this part, and I look forward to seeing you in part 3. And thanks for watching.